At 06:14:22 local time, 96 nautical miles north of Venezuela's Paraguana Peninsula, 3 Venezuelan Air Force F-16A Fighting Falcons descended through 2,300 feet, accelerating to 460 knots, noses pointed directly at the USS George H.W. Bush as it cut a steady line through the Caribbean Sea. No radio calls, no transponder codes, no attempt at identification. Just 3 aging fighters dropping low and fast toward a 100,000-ton nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, moving at 22 knots on a fixed heading. The Venezuelan pilots were flying an aggressive profile, low altitude to compress radar timelines, high closure speed to force rapid decision-making, a shallow dive designed to look accidental until it wasn't. They believed proximity would equal leverage. They believed boldness would provoke hesitation. They believed the Americans would react. They were wrong. The USS George H.W. Bush is not a ship that reacts. It observes, measures, and continues. Commissioned as the 10th Nimitz-class carrier, the Bush represents 5 decades of iterative naval dominance refined into steel, circuitry, and procedure. Her flight deck covers 4.5 acres. Her 2 A4W nuclear reactors generate enough power to sustain combat operations indefinitely. Her combat systems integrate sensors from every escort in the strike group into a single operational picture, updated multiple times per second. This is not presence, this is persistence. The Venezuelan pilots saw a ship, they did not see the network. At 06:15:03, the first radar contact appeared. AN/SPY-1D-V arrays aboard the escorting destroyer USS Truxtun registered low-altitude returns at 54 nautical miles. Simultaneously, the carrier's own long-range air search systems correlated the tracks. Altitude, speed, heading, climb rate, resolved in seconds. The fighters were already painted. Their approach vector was clear. Their margin for surprise existed only in theory. Inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, lighting remained unchanged. No raised voices, no sudden movements. Track numbers were assigned, confidence levels updated. A watch officer verified correlation across multiple sensors. The contacts were hostile in intent, not in action. That distinction mattered. The Venezuelan jets were 11 minutes out. That was time.
At 06:16, the strike group transitioned smoothly from routine posture to heightened awareness. Electronic support measures shifted into focused collection. No jamming, no emissions, just listening. Every radar sweep from the inbound F-16s was logged. Every data link pulse was captured. The Americans were already being paid in intelligence. On the flight deck, preparations began without urgency. 2 FA-18E Super Hornets from VFA 213 were brought forward from the bow. Fuel states verified. Weapons remained clean. This was an intercept, not a strike. Yellow shirt directors guided the aircraft into position as if rehearsed, because it was. At 06:17:41, the carrier turned neither left nor right. Speed remained constant, wind over deck unchanged. The Hornets taxied. At 06:18, the launch order was given. Steam pressure surged through the catapult cylinders. The first Hornet locked into the shuttle. Control surfaces cycled. Final checks completed in under 10 seconds. The pilot advanced throttles to military power. At the signal, the jet went from 0 to 165 knots in less than 3 seconds, airborne before the Venezuelan pilots realized they had been met. 9 seconds later, the second Hornet followed. Call signs Axeman 1 and Axeman 2. Their climb was deliberate, 25,000 feet, radar silent, sensors fused through the carrier network. They did not need to emit. The strike group saw everything for them. At 06:20, the situation escalated. 3 additional radar tracks lifted from Venezuelan airspace, climbing rapidly to join the original formation. 6 F-16s now converged in a loose wedge, spacing tightened, headings aligned directly toward the carrier group. This was no navigational error, this was choreography. The Hornets adjusted intercept geometry. Closure rate exceeded 900 knots combined. Time to merge, 4 minutes. 4 minutes to decide how close was too close.
The escorts responded with equal precision. USS Truxtun and USS Mitchell closed distance to the carrier, tightening the defensive ring. Their vertical launch systems remained cold. Fire control radars stayed passive. Electronic warfare suites continued to listen. Venezuelan radar frequencies were cataloged in real time. Modulation patterns, pulse repetition intervals, everything recorded. At 0623, visual contact. Axeman 1 reported 6 aircraft, Angels 12, line abreast. Venezuelan markings were visible now, external fuel tanks mounted, no visible air-to-air missiles on wing stations, a deliberate choice, aggressive but legally ambiguous. The Venezuelans initiated maneuvering. One element descended sharply, leveling off below 1,000 feet, racing parallel to the destroyer screen. Another climbed to 28,000 feet, orbiting wide, likely probing sensor coverage. A third pair maintained course toward the carrier itself. Each maneuver was measured. Each maneuver was observed. The Hornets shadowed at offset angles. No radar locks, no flares, no warning calls. Just position, speed, and restraint. After every Venezuelan dive, the Americans held steady. After every sharp pull-up, the intercept geometry remained unchanged. At 0627, one F-16 executed a high-speed pass across the bow of USS Mitchell, descending to 700 feet, afterburner engaged. The jet wash rippled the sea surface. On the destroyer's deck, crew members felt the pressure wave roll past. The American response was silence. At 0631, another Venezuelan pilot rolled inverted and dropped toward the carrier group, crossing directly ahead of the Bush's projected track before climbing hard away. Distance less than 1,200 feet laterally. Still no reaction. Inside the bush, the Phalanx CIWS systems slewed smoothly to follow the movement. Autonomous tracking algorithms calculated firing solutions in the background. Engagement thresholds were monitored, but not met. The system watched. That was enough. At 0634, the most dangerous moment arrived. One F-16 broke formation entirely and dove steeply toward the carrier's flight deck, descending through 800 feet at over 500 knots. From the deck, the aircraft appeared suddenly, filling the sky, engine noise cutting through routine operations. CIWS radar locked. The system's 20mm Gatling gun rotated, tracking perfectly. Ammunition drums were live. The window for automatic engagement narrowed to seconds. The Venezuelan jet leveled at 600 feet, crossed the bow, and pulled up sharply, passing overhead close enough to rattle unsecured equipment.
The gun did not fire. The criteria were not met. Close was not hostile. Aggressive was not an attack. The jet climbed away. For 15 seconds, the strike group existed on the edge of a decision no one wanted to make. Then the moment passed. At 0639, the Venezuelan formation began to drift outward. Fuel states were dropping. Their message had been delivered, whatever they believed it to be. At 0644, without radio call or acknowledgement, all 6 F-16s turned southwest and accelerated toward Venezuelan airspace. No explanation, no farewell. They simply left. The Hornets shadowed until the edge of international airspace, then turned back. No pursuit, no celebration. Their job was done. Throughout the entire encounter, the USS George H.W. Bush maintained course and speed. 0 deviations, 0 evasive maneuvers. The carrier sailed as if nothing unusual had occurred. Because, operationally, nothing had. The cost analysis told the real story. Venezuela expended tens of thousands of dollars in fuel and maintenance hours. More importantly, it surrendered detailed electronic signatures of its fighter radars, communications equipment, and tactical doctrine, patterns that would be studied, archived, and used indefinitely. The United States lost nothing. Within 24 hours, Venezuelan state media released edited footage claiming their pilots had forced an American carrier to withdraw. The video omitted navigation data, it omitted timestamps, it omitted reality. The carrier's logs showed no course change, no speed reduction. The Bush continued on schedule, launching routine training sorties later that afternoon. Dinner was served on time. The incident was documented and filed. This is modern gray zone confrontation. One side postures, the other side refuses to acknowledge the performance. Venezuela sought a reaction. What it received was indifference. And in naval warfare, indifference is not weakness, it is dominance. No missiles fired, no warnings issued, no lines crossed, just 6 jets returning home having proven nothing except how clearly they had been seen. Some lessons are delivered with explosions. This one was delivered with silence.